Cruising around for a little deuce coupe of the vintage variety? Tonight, Money Talk and Business Week on why the time may be right to step on it and drive home a deal. Hello, I'm Sue Herera. Welcome to Money Talk, where we focus on your bottom line. Today, the 1994 Mustang officially went on sale to the public 30 years after the American icon first made its debut. The original pony car is a collector's dream, and there have been a stampede of interest in classic cars of all kinds recently. But a car is an investment as well. So tonight we take a look under the hood of some Hot Wheels.
Way ahead of its time. Front-wheel drive. Stub frame. I want to tell you that this winds up and it flies. Today these would be part of the headlight. They're parking lights. That's a 48. I just thought it was a beautiful car.
Judge Alan Vogelson lets his heart dictate value when it comes to collecting cars, but his head gets the final word.
I selected the Packard as the first car for two reasons. It had quality, it had relative rarity, and the other principle is if it was popular then, it's going to be popular now.
Before he bought this 1928 Packard 12 years ago, he spent a year researching, talking to other collectors, and kicking a lot of tires.
Just because a car looks nice doesn't mean that it's necessarily in good condition. The car's value many times will increase if you have a history trail. When I bought this, it was from a gentleman who had purchased it from the original owner about 2 years earlier, and they gave to him and he gave to me all of the books, the oil changes, tire rotations.
And the more original detailing, the more money it will command.
The doors are actual frames of wood. The panels are insets, but the doors themselves are all wood, white ash.
Judge Vogelson warns if the deal is too good to be true, it probably is.
There's no such thing as cheap. If it's cheap in front, it's probably going to be expensive through the haul.
Looking through classic car publications will give you a good idea of what comparable cars are commanding. But Vogelson believes in letting your emotions into the decision.
Buy what you like, because if you're buying it strictly for an investment type of thing, markets go up and markets go down. If incidentally you make a profit from the time you buy it to the time you sell it, that's a bonus.
And for more on the vintage car market, check the November 29th issue of BusinessWeek magazine. And joining us now is the son of the publisher of the Ferrari Market Letter, as well as the reporter on the article. We welcome Chris Roush, BusinessWeek's Connecticut correspondent, back to Money Talk. Thanks for joining us again,
Sure.
Chris. Last time you were on, we had an incredibly popular show on baseball cards.
We did.
This time around, vintage cars. We saw a big spike in the leading up to the 80s, I think it was, and then a huge drop-off. What kind of a percentage move did we see?
There's about a 30 to 40% drop in vintage car prices. The 1980s saw a lot of speculation, a lot of turnover in people buying cars. The Japanese got into the market and really drove up the prices. And so in the 80s, you saw a real turn-up where cars were increasing 30 to 40% per year. And finally, just the cars couldn't increase anymore. And so around 88, 89, the prices stopped and they started going down.
Sounds like real estate.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, how is it faring now? Why is now a good time to buy a vintage car?
Now is a good time to buy because the newsletters and the publications that follow the vintage car markets are now beginning to see that the average asking prices of the cars are now beginning to come up. The auction houses that specialize in vintage cars are also beginning to see more action, more interested dealers. One auction house that I talked to told me that they believe it's kind of a pent-up demand. You know, these buyers have gone 3 or 4 years without buying a car, so there's that big urge inside themselves to buy a car now.
Is it across the board that we're seeing increases, or is it for only certain models?
The auction houses and the newsletters say that it is only certain models. Mercedes-Benz have fared very well. They haven't dropped as much. On the other hand, Ferraris probably saw the biggest drop. Their Ferraris...
Are they, I'm asking this because I
Sure.
don't know, Are they significantly more expensive as a vintage car? I mean, did it put a Ferrari way out of everybody's reach?
Well, some models went up to $5–6 million.
That would put it way out of the reach, yeah.
They have come back down to about $3 million, $2–3 million. But there are some models of Ferraris that went up to $200–300,000 that did get out of people's range, that are back down to $70, $80, maybe $100,000.
Now, is this a game just for the very wealthy?
No. I mean, you pick up, for instance, the Porsche market letter, and you can find 30 and 40-year-old Porsches in very good condition for less than $20,000.
So it isn't.
Yeah. So instead of buying a new BMW, you can go out and buy an old Porsche.
That brings up a good point about how do you judge a car? I mean, do you want to stay away from cars that are 15, 20 years old, or how do you research your car?
Yeah. Some of the things to look for, you want to make sure that it's all original, that there haven't been any variations made to the car that kind of change its value or decrease its value.
Mm-hmm.
You want to look at the owner's mechanical records, when he got it serviced, the changes that he made to the engine or the tuning that he had done to the engine. You want to check, obviously, the mileage on the car, see how many miles it has. It may look very nice, but it may have 300–400,000 miles on it, and you may want to be leery of that car.
What about scams? What kind of scams do you need to look out for? Because I'm sure in these price brackets there are a number of them.
One that I'm very familiar with is these people put the ads in the car magazines and newsletters,
Mm-hmm.
Advertising these cars for very outrageously low prices, saying that if you want to reserve the car, send a cashier's check to this Swiss mailbox.
And people fall for this?
People actually fall for that. The adage, I guess, is from what the judge said at in the introduction, if the deal is too good to be true, it probably is.
Now, in terms of an appraisal, are there people who specialize strictly in vintage cars?
Yes. In some cases...
And how do you find them?
Yeah. They normally advertise in the newsletters and the magazines. And for the most part, what they'll do is they'll go out and inspect the car for you. Being experts in those certain models, they know what to look for. That can be pretty expensive. I mean, buying one of these experts can cost up to $1,000, but
if it's a $200,000 investment, you get your money's worth. Okay. We're going to take a quick break, and it's actually time for a pit stop, it says here. When we continue, Chris will be answering your questions on the dollars and cents of classic cars. Here's the number, 1-800-752-CNBC, 1-800-752-2622. But first, a few notes for our buy-seller hold fans. We begin answering those calls at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and we have all the calls that we can handle tonight. But if you'd like to give it a try another evening, we'd love to have you try. Remember, you must dial in at 1-800-800-CNBC. We're back in just a couple of minutes with Money Talk and vintage cars.
The Movado Museum Sports Edition watch. A tribute to the spirit it takes to play the game and win. The Sports Edition Museum watch for men and women from Movado.
People have been using the same old information to make business and investment decisions for the last 100 years. But times are changing. These days, you need more than a newspaper you just read. You need an effective tool you can use to make your decisions. That tool is Investors Business Daily. They not only have all the great investment information I've come to rely on, they've expanded their business and management editorial content. And that's important to me. Articles like Executive Update, Industries in the News, Investors Corner, and Computers and Automation are what I need to stay informed. Investors Business Daily knows what works on Wall Street and in the business world. They don't waste my time. So make a break with the past and use the tool of today, Investors Business Daily.
Call now for a free 2-week subscription. You'll also receive a free audio tape, 100 ways to improve your investment results. Call 1-800-767-3800. Please call now. That number once again is 1-800-767-3800.
At lunchtime, munch Italian, but drink French. Mouton Cadet Bordeaux Red. At dinner time, choose Chinese, but drink French. Mouton Cadet Bordeaux White. Or anytime, cook Californian, but drink French. Mouton Cadet Bordeaux from Baron Philippe de Rothschild. Mouton Cadet variety and value make any time a great time to be French. For your free guide to more great French wines, call 1-800-522-WINE.
It's a great time to be French. coming up. Want to buy a new car and not get taken for a ride? We'll go undercover to reveal a car salesman's tricks of the trade so you'll know how to fight back. And what to do if you're stuck with a lemon. That's next on Steals and Deals.
Tonight, on Equal Time, from Boston, Mayor Thomas Menino and Senator John Kerry discuss crime, education, and gun control, and their effect on Boston. Join Mary Matalin and Jane Wallace on a special Equal Time from Faneuil Hall, tonight, only on CNBC.
Join Vladimir Posner and Phil Donahue as they explore the issues and topics that are important to you. Posner Donahue, a place to call in and be heard, 9 Eastern.
The legendary watch dial, exhibited in distinguished museums around the world, is the design inspiration for the Movado Museum collection of watches. Movado, the museum watch.
Welcome back. If some of your favorite songs include Mercedes-Benz, Mustang Sally, and Drive My Car, you'll be glad you're watching Money Talk right now, because tonight we're talking about investing in classic cars. Here to take your calls, Chris Roush. She's BusinessWeek's Connecticut correspondent. And our first caller is Mason from Florida. Good evening, Mason.
Hi, Sue.
Hi.
I had a question for your guests about perhaps not the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis, but some of the cheaper Italian cars like the Alfa and the Fiats, and what's the outlook on those?
It's interesting that he mentioned Fiat because Mason, Ferraris are actually made by Fiat. It's a division of Fiat, but older Fiats, older Alfas. My father, Mason, drives a 1954 Tagero, which is not even being made anymore. That's a very cheap car too. If you're looking at Fiats and Alfas, what you want to do is maybe look at a model from the 50s or 60s that there weren't that many made, because 10, 15 years there'll be more in demand than the Fiats and Alfas that were mass produced.
How do you decide what car is right for you? Do you look at a lot of different models, or is that really too much for one person to handle?
Some first-time buyers that I talk to get kind of lost when they're trying to decide, because they'll go look at, say, like a Porsche, and then they'll go look at, say, like an early 60s Corvette, and they can't reconcile the two because they're two totally different cars. So it's best to limit yourself to one make. If you're going to buy a Porsche, or if you're going to buy a sports car, decide if it's going to be a Porsche or a Corvette. Don't try and pick between the two, because then you'll have a tough time deciding.
Okay, let's go next out to Ohio, and Brian is our next caller. Go ahead, Brian.
Hi there. It's kind of funny that the show's on, because I just bought a '78 Corvette today, in fact.
Congratulations.
And thank you. I'm going to enjoy it.
Great.
My question concerns the lower end of the market. This was a $10,000 car. You're talking about $100,000 and $200,000 cars. Are the trends that you're seeing in the upper price range of cars consistent with those in the market that I just entered, or is it going to be a little bit different as far as the investment value, do you think?
I think, Brian, in about 10 or 15 years, if you stick with your '78 Corvette, it's probably going to appreciate in price. You know, people right now are buying the cars from the 50s and 60s, but in 15, 20 years, people will remember the cars from the 70s as vintage cars.
You know, that brings up another point, and that is you buy this car as a collectible, as a collector's item. Do you drive it? Do you recommend that?
Yeah.
Or do you leave it in the garage?
You need to have fun with the car. I mean, I see people out there, they've bought cars that aren't that expensive, $50,000 and $60,000 cars, and they're afraid to drive them because they're afraid that they'll get a rock that'll fly up and put a ding in their paint. Big deal. You just get out some paint and kind of touch it up. You should enjoy your car, take it out, have fun, drive it around, scare the neighbors.
I heard your father did that once or twice. Let's go to John, also in Ohio. Go ahead, John.
Good evening.
Evening.
In '82, I was looking at buying either a Jaguar or a Corvette, and chose the Corvette. And it seems like the Jaguar prices went up real steep, and they've stayed there. And I sort of had an idea where they're going to do that. I was wondering what might be a next car to appreciate like that. Is there anything on the market?
Some cars that some of the auction houses are now seeing a lot of interest in are the American-made cars from the middle 60s to early 70s. Things like just regular old Impalas that are in nice shape. Old station wagons, old Dart Ramblers, things like that are becoming popular now.
All right, let's go to Doug next, I believe, from Florida. Go ahead, Doug.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for taking my call. I always admire the brilliant